We begin India first by telling you that it's truly a proud and historic day for our country. India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, sails for its maiden sea trials from Kochi. With this, India now joins a select group of nations having the niche capabilities of indigenous design, build and integrating a state-of-the-art aircraft carrier. INS Vikrant will operate with approximately 24 Russian-built MiG-29K fighter jets, which are already deployed incidentally on INS Vikramaditya, the Indian Navy's current operational aircraft carrier.
45,000 tons, 262 meters long, a crew of over 1,500 personnel, and with a fleet of fighters on its deck. Say your namaskarams to India's new Vikrant. In a proud and historic day, India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, the reincarnated Vikrant, sailed out into open ocean on Wednesday for the first time, kicking off its crucial sea trials. The biggest and most complex warship ever built in India, the Vikrant is scheduled to enter Indian naval service next year. The ship has taken its time coming, with several technology-related delays over more than a decade, but it's finally ready for its trial by fire. The new Vikrant will have on board a fleet of at least 30 fighter jets, including the formidable MiG-29K that currently operates off India's sole active aircraft carrier, the Russian-built INS Vikramaditya. The Vikrant can also operate the indigenous naval light combat aircraft, which has been making great strides in carrier compatibility in recent months. As a large lumbering beast of a ship, Vikrant won't be operating alone. When commissioned, Vikrant will operate as part of a carrier battle group, escorted by destroyers, frigates and submarines. But the Vikrant itself is also armed, but only for defense, with surface-to-air missiles, high-caliber deck guns and close-in weapon systems to fight off missile threats. Named after India's first aircraft carrier, the iconic INS Vikrant that saw action in the 1971 India-Pakistan War, the new Vikrant sets out to sea a half-century later, in a year when India celebrates 50 years of that historic war victory. A proud and historical moment in India's otherwise elusive quest for Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense. Vikrant will gladden the hearts of serving Navy personnel and veterans alike. India now joins a select group of nations with the proven capability to indigenously design, build and integrate a state-of-the-art aircraft carrier. India today wishes the sea trials of Vikrant every success and its crew on board, Shano Varuna. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, this is a large aircraft carrier, 40,000 tons displacement, 30 fighter jets on board when Vikrant sets sail finally with its full complement. I want to bring in India Today's executive editor, Sandeep Unnithan. Sandeep, we've been talking about this. We've seen this from the drawing board stage to this moment and future trials. And then finally, when Vikrant sails, what a historic moment for a country. What does this mean for the Navy? What does this mean for the country?
Absolutely, Gaurav. It's a historic day indeed. And looking back over the last 50 years, I can only think of two other milestones that are as important as this. The sea trials of the INS Nilgiri, India's first indigenously designed and built warship in the early 70s. And the sea trials and finally the commissioning of the INS Arihant, India's first indigenously produced and built nuclear submarine 7 years ago. And today we have the Vikrant, the new reincarnated INS Vikrant sailing out on sea trials. It's truly a historic day, Gaurav. It's the largest warship we've ever built, the most complex warship, and it's a huge statement for Atmanirbhar Bharat, Gaurav.
A huge statement for Atmanirbhar Bharat, you say, but when we move forward, so now we have the capabilities that are on display, but we shouldn't lose this. Are we then making a case also for the third aircraft carrier? Because once we've got everything in place, we need to build, and perhaps build maybe in times to come for export.
Yes, Gaurav. In fact, the third aircraft carrier, or the IAC-2 as it's being called, is a subject of intense debate within the government right now. The Navy wants the government to give a go-ahead for it, because they believe that they don't want to repeat the mistakes that we did with the submarine arm, where you had submarines being orders being placed after very long intervals, and that led to the skills that you've accumulated in building submarines withering away. And here you have Cochin Shipyard, which has taken its time to build this carrier, but finally we have it after more than a decade. And it's important that we preserve those shipbuilding skills that we've accumulated in the last couple of years by building ships, large, complex ships of this kind. It's really important to keep the production line running. How this could be done is a matter for the government and the Navy indeed to decide whether you want an IAC-2 or you want LPDs, or what is the kind of carrier that will meet your threats, your clear and present threats in the Indian Ocean region, Gaurav.
Because this is something that the government of the day, future governments, our political leaders and our country, everyone needs to realize the stronger navy you have, the stronger power you end up being. Of course, you need a strong army, you need a strong air force, but a strong navy you just cannot afford to do without. Now, why are we saying this? Because India, we're actually stretching our sea legs. And how? Even as we speak, 4 Indian Navy warships are being dispatched to the South China Sea.